Unit 4, Two-Dimensional Measurement with Algebra. We're going to begin Unit 4 with looking at some algebra, and we need to know the language of algebra before we begin. So there's a lot of words we need to learn to start this unit off with. And the first word we need to know is variable. Okay? A variable is simply a letter that represents a value that can change. So it's got the word vary in it. So if I look at the letter T and the expression 2t plus 3, T can take on many different values. It varies. A coefficient is the number in front. So if I look at that same expression, 2t plus 3, the number 2 is the coefficient. It's the variable, or sorry, the number the variables multiplied with. And term. If I look in the same expression, 3 is a term, 2t is a term. So if you look at the terms in the expression, they're separated by either addition or subtraction. Polynomials are algebraic expressions made up of terms separated by addition and subtraction. So if I look at negative 3ad, that's at one term. 15t plus 4ax has two terms. You'll see one sign. 100 plus x cubed has three terms. There are two signs separating them. Monomials are special polynomials that have one term. So if you look at 100, that's a number. It's called a term, or sorry, it's called a constant term. It's got one term in it. Negative 3ad, even though I see two variables, it's a string of multiplication separating everything, so it's still one term. 15t, y cubed are all monomials. There's no addition or subtraction involved in those expressions. A binomial is a polynomial with two terms. So now I'm using all of the same terms I had on the page before, but you'll notice they're separated by addition or subtraction. But what's important here is each time I have two terms, a term before the addition or subtraction and a term after. So that's two terms. It's binomial. And I think of the word bicycle when I try and remember that. A bicycle has two wheels, so a binomial has two terms. A trinomial has three terms. And just like a bicycle has two wheels, and that's how I try and remember binomial, I think about tricycles to remember a trinomial because tricycles have three wheels. So trinomials have three terms. So if I look, I've got one term, two terms, three terms. They're separated by addition or subtraction signs. In this case, addition. Negative 3ad is a term, 15t is a term, 4ax is a term, separated again by addition or subtraction. Polynomials are always written in either ascending or descending order. Typically, descending order is the most common, and that's the way we typically write expressions in math. Okay? They're grouped so that the exponents on each term are from greatest to least, and they're also alphabetical typically. So negative 3t cubed, 4t squared, negative 2t, which we know has an exponent of 1, plus 1, which doesn't have any constants, or sorry, it doesn't have any variables, so it's tagged on the end. Again, if you look at this one here, negative, sorry about the interruption, guys. If you take a look at this one, the term with the exponent of 4 is written first. The term with the exponent of 3 comes next. The term with the exponent of 2, and this term here has an exponent of 1, even though we don't see it in the polynomial. For ascending order, each one of those expressions was written in reverse order. The exponent, no exponent or no variables written first. Term with the exponent of 1 is first, exponent of 2 comes next, and then exponent of 3. And you'll notice that when I rearrange them all, I kept the sign that was in front of them. So there's negative x, the negative went in front here. The 2x squared, the positive went in front there, and so on. Like terms are terms that have the same variable or variables raised to the same exponents. Sorry guys, I'm underlining and it's going kind of crazy here. Negative 3x and positive 4x are like terms. If I look at it, they both have an x on them with an exponent of 1. 50 and t squared and negative 4t squared both have a t, or a variable of t, with an exponent of 2. 100y cubed and negative y cubed both have a variable of y with an exponent of 3. Unlike terms do not have the same variable raised to the same exponent. So if I look, negative 3x and positive 4y, they're not the same letter. T squared and t, well, t has an exponent of 1. The exponents are different. 100y cubed and negative x cubed, they have the same exponent, but the letter's different, so they're not like terms. Evaluating expressions. We should have a screen shade on here. Sorry, guys. Oh, there we go. Evaluate the expression negative 2x cubed plus 4x minus 3 for the following values of x. So if x is negative 1, now remember the first thing we do when we substitute in, we'll put brackets around our variable. So when we put the numbers in, we put the number we're substituting in into the brackets. So where you see the negative 1, it's going to go inside that bracket. So we're going to have negative 2 times bracket negative 1 cubed plus 4 times negative 1 minus 3. And my good friend BEDMAS takes control. So I have to look here, and I am going to do this exponent here first. So I have to do this negative 1 cubed. And on my calculator, I would do negative, or I'd use the bracket button, minus 1 and the bracket. And then I'm going to look for a button that's either y to the x like this, or has a little kind of triangle hat thing on it. And I'm going to press that next. Then I'm going to tell it the exponent. And then I'm going to press my equal to button. And when I do that, I should get negative 1 out. I can also multiply this 4 and this negative 1 because they follow an addition sign, so I can deal with that multiplication. Negative 2 times negative 1 gives me positive 2. Subtract 4, take away 3. I'm going to add my negatives together because remember when we talked about combining positive and negatives, we grouped our negatives together and we have negative 4 minus 3. It just gives me negative 7. Now I have two integers with opposite signs, and I can subtract them and keep the sign on the larger number, which is the negative 7, or the larger digit, sorry. When I plug in 3 into this equation, I'm going to put brackets around here again. And instead of putting the x in the brackets, I'm going to put the number 3. Again, my good friend BEDMAS tells me to deal with this 3 cubed first. And I'm going to get my handy-dandy calculator out. I'm going to do 3. And I'm going to tell it y to the x. And I'm going to tell it the exponent and hit my equal button again. Now remember, instead of y to the x, we might use that little triangle button. And my calculator should tell me that equals negative 2 times 27. I multiplied the 4 and the 3 to get 12. Okay. My friend BEDMAS tells me now to do the multiplication. So negative 2 times 27 is negative 54 plus 12 take away 3. I'm going to group my negative numbers together. So I'm going to put my negative 54 and my negative 3 together. And that gives me negative 57 because they have the same sign. So I add them up and keep the sign. Now I have two numbers with opposite signs. And I can subtract them, which is 45. And I keep the sign on the larger digit, which is 57. Okay. Before class, please try and do workbook page 2, polynomials questions 1 to 7.